Hello, I've just got back to Edinburgh after... Ooh, fox. Hope I caught that. I've just got back to Edinburgh after seeing Macbeth at the Royal Highland Centre, starring Ray Fiennes and Indira Varma. It was fantastic, and I just wanted to record a quick video with some initial impressions for you. If you're planning on seeing the show, maybe this isn't the video for you. I mean, it's weird to talk about spoilers when it's a Shakespeare play, but there's elements of the production that you might want to keep secret, so I won't deliberately spoil anything that's meant to be a surprise, but I will talk about elements of people's performance, and maybe you'd like to keep that fresh. It was such a cool looking show. They had this kind of immersive theatre bit before you actually got to the play proper, with a burning car and actors doing their thing. It was a great way to sort of set the mood. The stage itself looked great, and I think what was going through my head as I sat down, having done play, I think anyone who does plays would have the same thought, is you're immediately counting how many possible entrances there are, and there were loads. And as the play went on, it was really satisfying to see how they used those. Some were used there were nice surprises and there were nasty surprises, I'll put it that way. Another cool element of the production, and a kind of cheeky one, was the recurring sound effect was like jet bombers going over, which was in keeping with the world of the show. It was kind of a war-torn sort of war zone. But the Highland Centre is just next to the Edinburgh Airport, so there was real airplanes as well, and I have no idea if they came up with that in order to cover the real ones, or it was just a little bit of good luck. But that was kind of cool. Because the real ones obviously you could tell they didn't come at always come at opportune moments. They sort of came at quite random moments. Obviously, they didn't hold back on the gore, which I think is great. Macbeth needs that. And as a general production note, they really slowed it down, which wouldn't usually be my preference. I mean, it's kind of anathema to modern productions, but I kind of favour keeping as many lines in as possible and going at it 100 miles an hour. I know that's not fashionable at all, and it does often go wrong. This went completely the opposite way, and it did a fantastic job of it. It cut the script right down. I mean, if you publish the script of their version of Macbeth, it must have been about 40 pages, but it never lagged. It was just a completely different type of experience, and it really worked for Ray Fiennes in particular. I was completely surprised by his performance. He was a sort of a weirdly pathetic figure. His diction was that of a kind of naughty schoolboy. You sensed there was something wrong with him. There were moments where it reminded me of his Richard III, a sort of strangled, emotionally and physically stunted figure. You couldn't tell with this Macbeth whether there was anything particularly wrong with him. I mean, in the script, there's obviously references to his fits, and Ray Fiennes kept doing this very particular blink, which made it look like he was perhaps holding off a fit. This was maybe an epileptic Macbeth, perhaps. But I've never seen a Macbeth done that way, as a sort of kind of a little boy lost at times. And that might sound completely wrong. It felt extremely surprising, but it really paid dividends. And the thing about him having a sort of nervous diction and slowing the script right down was, in the more complex speeches, he really lived every second of them. When the syntax gets quite fiddly there, when it's if the assassination could trammel up the consequence and bring with his success, all of that stuff. I can't do it justice, I'm not an actor, but Ray Fiennes slowing that right down, it sort of opened up like a paper puzzle. Each word just hit right. Indira Varma was spectacular. That was probably one of the most riveting and appalling sleepwalking scenes I've ever seen. What was brilliant about her performance, and how they approached Macbeth and how she performed it, was she started off very nice. She was a very nice-spoken lady when she was first reading the letter from Macbeth. Really just quite normal. And that obviously sometimes you watch a Macbeth and Lady Macbeth seems to outwitch the witches in her first scene, and there's not much left to go at that point. It can work if you're going to do 100-mile-an-hour Macbeth, and you don't need to slowly build things, but her starting off as just a sort of nicely spoken, nicely presented, excited spouse just gave her such a platform to like go off the deep end, and it happened in that scene. You know, when I forget the full line, but when she mentions my battlements, that scene when she's beginning to imagine Duncan falling into her clutches, she just turned it on its head, and she was just amazing. The other thing that was good about making her sort of quite normal to begin with is it meant that the Macbeths, when they were together, obviously had a fairly solid relationship. That's how they approached it. When they were first reunited at the start of the play, when he comes back from the war and he's been honoured by Duncan, they were really it wasn't raunchy or anything, but they were clearly in love. And I kind of prefer it when the Macbeths are like that. Sometimes it's like, you know, he's the devil's spawn and she's frigid as a witch's tit, and that's where you go from. Again, that can work for a more like gothic, broad strokes production, but I kind of like it when the Macbeths feel like a team to begin with, and then the team rots once they jump the life to come and kill Duncan. And the lovingness of the Macbeths extended elsewhere in the production. There was a really nice celebratory atmosphere when Duncan first comes to Macbeth's castle, which again, there were kids running around, there are people acting like it was Christmas type thing. Again, that just sets up a fall brilliantly, and I really enjoyed that. It makes you see a lot of these characters in a way that they're not often seen. It's often very bleak. Not to pick on the Michael Fassbender film, but one of the reasons I thought that was rubbish is that everyone's sort of numb and horrified from the start. It makes Macbeth's crime just seem like par for the course. Like, why is everyone surprised? It feels like this happens every day. Whereas, sorry, that's a Greg's van going past. Another aspect of the production that I liked, which may sound a little harsh, is that they cut the porter. No bad thing in my book. I've seen lots of good actors have a go at the porter, and it almost never works. It's almost always a drag and almost always a big drop in energy. I think part of the problem is those jokes just aren't funny. And so if you go for a maniacally laughing, jokerish type porter, no one's going to laugh along unless you really stretch some physical business or change the lines, basically. So when you see a porter that works, it tends to be doing something else, like subverting how the role was intended, aligning him with the witches or with Satan, having him play a more nefarious role in Macbeth's household. That can work, but frankly, in this production, you didn't miss the porter. All in all, it was a spectacular production. I absolutely loved it. And if it is going on tour and you get an opportunity to go and see it, I highly recommend it. It was directed by Simon Godwin, and the production and costumes were designed by Frankie Bradshaw, and I forget the writer.